Goðan, daginn, herslingar, and welcome to another Prime tournament. I am going to recap the winner of our June Open Great League tournament at Prime Comics, and that is Chandraquil, a battler who has been a member of the Dublin Decidueyes alongside myself, as well as Team Ireland's Gym Breakers, and a wonderful up-and-coming battler. So first, let's have a few words from her about her team composition choices before we jump into the matches. All right, Chandraquil, so why don't you walk us through your team building comp here that led to this victory?
So, I've been playing a lot of Open Great League in the gobattleleague as of late, and I've really been liking the Froslass and Cresselia core because Cresselia is just very bulky. Grass Knot hits well against all of the water types, which have been so common, and Froslass just has a very high attack, and most things can't resist both ice and ghost. So you can hit super effective on a lot of the main meta Pokemon, including Medicham, Noctowl, and you can hit for neutral on others, such as the Galarian Stunfisk and the Registeel that are appearing all over. It doesn't have the best defense, however, so it's very important to pair it with something bulky, like Cresselia. And in the Go Battle League, I usually paired my Froslass and Cresselia with an Umbreon safe swap. Umbreon is one of the most common safe swaps in the play Pokemon format because it is so bulky. It can take a super effective charge move from pretty much everything, and there doesn't really have any just hard counter matchups, and even those it does, it just stays around and absorbs so many hits. And it's also very good against the Ghost, which is what my team needed, given the fact that Froslass really can't stick around long enough to beat the major Ghost types, namely Trevenant, and Cresselia just is walled by Ghosts. So then I needed to add in 3 more Pokemon to help add some coverage. I wanted to add in Gliscor because in this meta, you need a flyer, and most people run Noctowl, but there are too many Noctowls in this meta. So I went with Gliscor because it runs the Wing Attack Fast move, which after the recent buff gives a good energy generation, especially with that Night/Charge move. It does decent damage, especially against the fighting types, which are very common, most namely Medicham. And Shields Down, Gliscor is very good because it runs Earthquake. And with the wing attacks, it charges to that Earthquake fast enough, plus receives the stab bonus from that ground flying typing, that Earthquake can do serious damage to anything that isn't a flying type. So my next pick was Lanturn, and Lanturn is a very popular meta pick. It is very bulky, and one of the main reasons I picked this was because water is everywhere. And an added bonus of this is that it gives me a good Noctowl counter because I run Spark on my Lanturn. And Spark Lanturn just dominates the Noctowl matchup. And water is a very strong typing, so that Surf is good against the ground types. And my last pick was Toxicroak. Toxicroak is very much a spicy pick, given the fact that, first off, a lot of people are running Medicham with Psychic, and due to the poison fighting typing, Toxicroak is very weak to Psychic. And there's also the issue that Toxicroak has no bulk. It just evaporates. However, if you can get it with good alignment, it will just run away with things. It's rather like Froslass. If it gets the good alignment, it can just run away. So I mainly run my Toxicroak for the steals, and this is also very useful for the fairies. You get 2 fairies mainly, the first being Alolan Ninetales, both Shadow and Regular, and the Azumarill. There aren't too many other fairies in the meta, though there is the occasional Tapu Fini, but the Sludge Bomb makes quick work of any remaining fairies. So this is my team composition. I considered running a steal, but I figured my team is very strong against most of the top meta picks. So, Noctowl, Medicham, Sableye, Lanturn, all that good stuff. So this team gives full coverage for the main matchups that you would find, and as long as people don't run too many dragon types, then it performs very well.
Alrighty, thank you for that. We got a nice team here, some great choices, and a ton of bulk and a lot of safety. I really like Toxicroak especially. with the Mud Bomb buffs, and I've always liked Gliscor since the wing attack buffs as well. So we are playing. The winner got this 1999 sticker card here that we see. So our first match is going to be against G.I. Joe 33. We see here Toxicroak into Sableye lead, less than ideal. We safe swap out so that we can put some damage on the Gliscor here. But then we've got Night Slash, which will do neutral damage because of the typing. And if we get lucky a buff, while Wing Attack is going to do good damage. So we've got a pretty low Sableye now. She's going to save the Gliscor. Get up to another Night Slash. Overcharge a bit. Get some extra energy. Excellent job. Throw the Night Slash. See if we let him go down. He shields, and at this stage, we go down. He's got energy charge. But it's only going to be a foul play, which Toxicroak is going to resist. So she eats the foul play, farms down, and now has a lot of energy on Toxicroak. Noctowl comes in, so she instant swaps to Froslass, who of course is great against Noctowl. Calls the Shadow Ball. Get some farm in. We've got Registeel in now, which of course is less than ideal for Froslass. The energy lead will help, but Registeel up a shield is going to be problematic because there's just no way the Toxicroak in the back will be able to take out Noctowl. So she's going to throw the second Shadow Ball. Expects the shield. He doesn't shield it. Trying to save that for Noctowl. Bait with the Mud Bomb in the hopes that we get the shield and then throw the Sludge Bomb. But we just don't have enough energy there. So game one, a rough loss, but she prepares, adjusts, and gets ready to go into game two. We saw leaning on Registeel. Toxicroak lead into Sableye. He safe swaps Sableye. She counteracts with her Umbreon, and she's golden now. There is just nothing Sableye can do, even landing a return. Umbreon still has plenty of health to make it through here, right? We can see that. So we just essentially knock out, still have it pretty healthy. He's trying to defend Sableye, get to another return. At this stage, she shields because she's still up in terms of energy and health, and would force him to double shield down here on Sableye, which is ridiculous. Noctowl comes in, which is fine for for Umbreon. Umbreon stays nice and healthy. It's going to force a charge move, otherwise can't farm it down from that range. Lanturn comes in, and Lanturn is great against Noctowl here, so we don't need to use any shields. Even the Shadow Ball is not going to be enough because of this great bulk. So Lanturn's in a great spot. We swap into the Registeel. She throws the Surf to chip it down, and then brings in the Toxicroak, who's going to Mud Bomb his way to victory here. So at this stage, we just barely get to a charge move. She's going to shield Toxicroak because Noctowl was low enough. Sludge Bomb should do enough or force the last shield, which will then let Lanturn finish it off. So low here that Noctowl can't farm down. Throws the Sky Attack, but now we've got a Spark Lanturn, shields down, Surf to clinch the second game here. So Lanturn's looking really good. Umbreon's looking really good for her. She's really liking Toxicroak because of the steals. We have a Azumarill versus Lanturn lead. This is great. So we're running regular speed for our final match here, which is going to decide how she moves on. He's going to swap into the Umbreon, but Umbreon is going to be met by Toxicroak, and this is just really good positioning for her. Even with Umbreon's bulk, Toxicroak's high attack and Mud Bombs are just going to put out a lot of damage here. Even though it's a little bit frail, it's really going to just punch its way through. Not even going to go all the way up to Sludge Bomb, just wants to keep the pressure applied here. And just grind him down slowly. But you can see how much damage those counters are doing, absolutely adding up. There's just so very little Umbreon can do here. Unlike Metacham, which is neutral to the dark moves, Toxicroak completely resisting it means that it's just in a great spot here. So we're going to throw the Mud Bomb and either force the shield or knock out Umbreon. Grabs a shield, and now she can still maintain switch, farm down, and energy if she shields here, or let it go. She's going to shield, and then this will be a farm down and have a Mud Bomb or near Sludge Bomb ready to go. Azumarill comes in, lets the Toxicroak go, even though Sludge Bomb would be great against it because we've got a Lanturn in the back here. So she's going to eat the Ice Beam, bring in Lanturn, and then she's in a very safe spot right now. The one shield versus one shield. We saw Ice Beam on Azumarill, which means it's probably Play Rough, not Hydro Pump afterwards. Neither is going to do particularly well against Lanturn. Play Rough at least is neutral to it. And so she's going to overcharge here, gather up some energy, throw another Lightning Bolt, undercharge, or Missile Bubble, still decides for the Excellent. He shields, and at this stage, she can just go for a Surf and knock out Azumarill. Because she thinks there's a Noctowl in the back, we're going to shield up here because a near full health Lanturn is a very, very strong contender, shields down if the Noctowl comes in. And she's still got a full health Umbreon in the back as well. So with Azumarill down, or near down, he swaps in here to try and get to a charge move, but Lanturn's so bulky it's not going to make a world of difference here. It just means more energy. We've got an easy farm down here on Umbreon. And Azumarill's got 1 health, so if it comes in, it's not going to get anywhere. And it is that Noctowl. It was a good call, keeping the Lanturn alive, the clear win con. And even if Lanturn can only just weaken it like that, Umbreon can come in and get the finale here. Unfortunately, she ran out of memory on her phone, so I have given you a artist's rendition of what happened at the end of this match. She had to clear up some rounds, some data on her phone afterwards, and then we get to round 2 after that. So she wins the final round. There's just nowhere to go from there. The Lightning Thunderbolt from the Lanturn will blow up the Noctowl before it can get to the Shadow Ball, which was its only chance. So basically exactly as I rendered. So she wins her first round. In round 2, she goes up against someone you all might have heard of, Thidrekr, who has decided to play the incredibly spicy Double Dragon team here with a Haxorus Altaria, Sableye, Toxapex, Lanturn, and Galarian Stunfisk. Now, before these matches start, I'll be very honest. I was playing this team because it looked fun. I have played Toxapex 3 separate tournaments, and I've hated it every time. I don't know why I keep doing it to myself. I think it's a great Pokemon. It's just not a Pokemon for me. So I didn't do great in this tournament. I had a 50% win rate. It was fun. I enjoy running Haxorus. We'll see how these matches go. As I mentioned, her phone ran out of memory. To record the video, see, these are my recordings. You'll see her in the background. So I start off with a Galarian Stunfisk into a Froslass lead, which is good for Stunfisk, but not insurmountable for Froslass. So I throw Rock Slide just before the Shadow Ball can come out. She's going to overcharge knowing that I'm not there, and then throw right before I get to Rock Slide. I know I can survive whatever she throws first. It's an Avalanche. That's fine. I get to another Rock Slide, but I'm a little bit late. So she gets to the Avalanche, and I want to make sure that I win this matchup, or I hold the lead. So I throw the Rock Slide, get a shield, and I should get to a Rock Slide before she gets to an Avalanche. So we knock out the Froslass, and then in comes Umbreon, which I'm glad that I kept the lead, because Umbreon versus Sableye is a guaranteed loss for me. I let Stunfisk go because he served his purpose. And I know that Altaria versus Umbreon favors the Altaria. And even in the off chance that everything goes wrong, as in I don't land a Moonblast, I can get him weak enough that Sableye can overcome it. But I land the Moonblast, and now we are low enough that it's fine. I can farm down and have a Sky Attack near ready for the next opponent to come in. So I throw it as soon as it comes in, and it's Cresselia, which is great because I've got a Sableye in the back. So I'm going to take game 1 because Cresselia just doesn't. I have a shield, so I have to shield the Moonblast. But I'm doing super effective fast move, stab damage, and super effective foul play now that the shield's down. So despite the amazing bulk of Cresselia, I know that I'm going to win this matchup. And it's because I managed to maintain my lead there. So I take her down. We go into round 2 to see what adjustments we can make. I lead Altaria. She leads Umbreon. Again, this is a matchup I personally love. I'm very happy to take my Altaria into an Umbreon every time. I know I can take several of these foul plays because Altaria's bulk, and I know that if a Moonblast lands, I win the matchup. So I'm going to overcharge here, take 2, because if the Moonblast lands, I don't want to be too healthy in case a strong one comes in. I throw the Sky Attack, hoping to get the bait, and if not, I know I can throw a double Sky Attack and still be within striking distance of farming down Umbreon, is my plan here. So I decide to let the Altaria go. The Foul Play is going to hit, KO, and then I can just bring in Stunfisk and farm down and eat a Foul Play in the process. Not a big deal because Galarian Stunfisk with a ton of energy is just good against the majority of her line. Cresselia comes in. I'm neutral to Grass Knot, and I resist Moonblast, and I resist Future Sight. So I'm happy with this matchup. Cresselia Bulk is annoying, but I don't know what's in the back, and I feel like Sableye is safer than Galarian Stunfisk. Because I'm guessing Froslass is probably in the back, or possibly Gliscor. And I think Sableye does really well into both of those matchups. I also want to overcharge some energy here just so that I can get a parting shot with Stunfisk with whatever comes in next. And she swapped in the Froslass, but because the Earthquake landed, I was able just to farm down with Sableye. And now Sableye versus Cresselia, as we saw, as an even one. So this is the only loss she suffered at the tournament, forcing the tournament to go 2 extra rounds because we had a tie at the end of our standard 4 rounds. She's a little mad at me for this, and I'm a little mad that we didn't get to see Haxorus at all in this. But nonetheless, 2-1 win here. 2-1 is the way the match goes, so there's no need to show the third one. We switch to her third match here. We switched to her fourth match here. Her third match, we're going to skip just for time's sake. It was against a brand new player who was running things like Shiinotic, which, again, I'm so happy when we get new players, and I love when they just bring whatever they can the first time and learn what works and what doesn't work. So we had a great time with the new players. I didn't want to show them because there's not much we can objectively kind of take away from a semi-meta team and a very bulky team of Chandraquil versus a off-the-wall, lacking mini win cons team. So we're going to jump to round 4. Chandraquil at this point is 2-1. There are several other people who are at 2-1 or 3-0. If she wins this, she will be 3-1, and then if no one else goes undefeated, the plan was we do a tie break. Since there is a professionally graded Pokemon card on the line, instead of going by Buchel's tiebreaker or points, we just said if people have the same overall win record, we play off. It was the fairest way to do it. So she's going to play against Clerkinato here, who's running Tropius Venusaur, double grass comp, Alolan Ninetales, Scrafty, Kanto Marowak for some spicy ground damage, and Lanturn. So we've got some good bulk, we've got some pretty meta stuff, and then we've got a few outliers there. So she leads Lanturn into, we find out it's Charm Alolan Ninetales, which is a good matchup for Lanturn. Lanturn has the bulk to deal with the charms. Alolan Ninetales doesn't have the bulk to deal as well. And he's running Water Gun Lanturn, which means that her Spark Lanturn is much better. It's going to get to moves faster and do better fast moves. But she swaps into Toxicroak to preserve her Lanturn for later, because Toxicroak's Mud Bomb is going to be super effective here. And that way she knows she's not going to get walled by a Tropius or a Venusaur by bringing in Toxicroak. So we can get a double Mud Bomb here and either run out his shields or get the swap. Just barely misses it frustratingly. So we bring back in the Spark Lanturn and get it down to Surf range. Lives on 1 HP again. This is a series of unfortunate events. The Surf lands, doesn't KO, but he has 0 shields with a Ninetales. She once again doesn't have it, but we have Froslass, 1 shield, and a Dream. That's our plan here. So she shields 1 just in case it's Psyshock. It's a double Weather Ball. That's fine because she can eat 1 healthily. And now she knows she's safe. Throws the Avalanche. And Tropius comes in and she's got an energy lead and he has no shields. So Avalanche into Tropius is exactly where you want to be. Kills the Tropius and she grabs the win with Froslass at the end there. So we're going to adjust for round 2, knowing it's a Water Gun Lanturn. She knows her Lanturn is very strong. She leads Cresselia into Lanturn, which is great for her. Alolan Ninetales comes in, so she throws a Moonblast because it's just frail, eats a shield, and then brings in her own Lanturn, who can deal with the charms, resist the Weather Balls, and non-stab Psyshock is not going to do much either. So leaning on her bulk here is her plan to win. Throw the Surf, and then get the farm down. She's up a shield, she's up a Pokemon. Marowak comes in with Mud Slap, which is really bad for Lanturn, super effective damage, but she does get the final shield off, and now she's got a Froslass and a Cresselia, both who can do super effective damage here. Because this is a Mud Slap Marowak, it does a lot of damage, but it's very slow in terms of charge moves. So she was getting ready to Avalanche throw it, swapped out, so she didn't take he didn't get the catch. She brings in Grass Knot Cresselia to knock out the Lanturn. And then she just has to deal with the Marowak, but she has an Avalanche saved on the Froslass in the event Cresselia can't get to a Grass Knot before the Night Slash comes out with Marowak. So he's just throwing Bone Club there, which almost lets her get to the Grass Knot, but an Avalanche here is going to blow up Marowak for us. And she takes game 2. And at this stage, for time's sake, they just played 2. If it went 2-0, since we weren't doing points based on 2-1s or anything. So at this point, we actually have 4 people of our 10 participants who are at 3-1. So I put the top seeded versus the bottom seeded and the second seeded versus the third seeded. Chandraquil was in the second seed position right now, so she was playing against the third seed, who you might have already seen as Clerkinato. So the semifinals match we have now is going to be against Clerkinato. Again, so it's the rematch. So she leads Lanturn into Venusaur, which is not where you want to be at all. She's going to get some energy and try and catch the Frenzy Plant. She brings in Cresselia, who we know can take it. Eats the Frenzy Plant fairly well. The problem is Cresselia can't really do any super effective damage here on Venusaur because she doesn't have Future Sight. But nonetheless, it's not a Shadow Venusaur, so she can hang in there enough to put some chip damage in, let the charge timer go down, and then bring in her Froslass for a farm down. She decides that she really wants to keep this Cresselia up because she thinks it'll have play in the back, so she's going to take the double shield, get a shield finally, and then bring in Froslass to try and get the farm down. She's going to eat a Frenzy Plant here, which is going to hurt, but not KO, and then Ninetales comes in and gets the charm down. But we have our good friend Lanturn here. Throws the Thunderbolt. He thinks it's a Surf, so he doesn't shield it, and that puts Chandraquil in a great position here. Because now we just need to land a Surf and we're good to go. The Weather Ball is going to come through. But not quite KO. Unable to land it. And now she has to get to a charge move but can't. So she loses game 1 of the rematch. She needs to refocus, readjust, kind of think about how overprotecting the Cresselia wasn't the right play. But she gets the dominant lead here with Cresselia at the very beginning. Cresselia is great. He catches on Tropius though, but she has the Froslass safe swap in here. So she knows she can over-farm energy against this Tropius before knocking it out with an Avalanche, and Froslass with an energy lead just usually plays very well against his team. So she's going to let the Leaf Blade through because it's not going to KO Froslass, get the farm down, and ready to throw on whatever comes in. It's the Ninetales, so she throws the Shadow Ball. If it doesn't shield, it's going to do serious damage. But now he's out of shields, and she has a Lanturn against the Ninetales. He swaps in the Lanturn to try and catch, but he catches the Thunderbolt, which is not what he wants to catch there. So she's going to shield the Thunderbolt because she knows Lanturn is her win con. She's going to overcharge and then swap into Cresselia, because Cresselia can eat any one charge move from Lanturn, no problem. The Surf especially is not going to do much. Grass Knot will KO it, and then she's got a charge move loaded on Lanturn, plus Cresselia. The Ninetales has to get through first. So the Weather Ball doesn't knock it out. She gets up to Moonblast, hoping for that defense debuff as well. Really puts a hurtin' on Ninetales, and then Thunderbolt to close it out. So we're 1-1 in our semifinals rematch. She's feeling very good, very strong. Really leaning on this Lanturn because it's such a strong win con. Game 3, there was a corruption in the file. She won Game 3, however. Leaning on the Lanturn, the game ended with a Froslass against a Tropius, and she knocked it out with another Avalanche. And so then we make it to the finals here. We have 2 players who have now gone 4-1. Chandraquil versus Richstar 2552, who is bringing a double water team with Toxapex and Quagsire, Jumpluff, Scrafty, Umbreon, and Alolan Sandslash. So we've got double dark, double water, interesting stuff, and some good bulk here with Umbreon, Jumpluff, Toxapex. So she is looking at her team and what she wants to run. Cresselia is still feeling pretty good because of all of the water. Froslass is looking really good as long as it avoids the darks. Gliscor looks really strong as long as it avoids Alolan Sandslash. And so she's got a lot of options here as she goes into the finals. She leads Umbreon because it's the safest, and she goes against Toxapex, which is totally fine. It's a pretty neutral matchup. Toxapex needs to land a Sludge Bomb to win here. He switches out Umbreon, so she brings in Toxicroak. Shields the last resort, knowing that it would do a lot of damage, and goes straight for Sludge Bomb, assuming that he's going to want to save shields. And with that, we get an easy farm down. We eat one foul play, or it's the last resort, but we're still fine. Now we've got some energy on Toxicroak for whatever comes in. It's the Toxapex, which is great because we've got a ground move to hit back. Even though Toxapex is resisting our fast move, this is a brine. It will KO, but we're now at a 0 energy Toxapex. So Umbreon can feel very safe here. A lot of bulk against this Toxapex. So we're going to eat a brine here and then go for the farm down to have energy to throw here at the end. So in comes 2 shields Scrafty. So we know the play here is to try and power up punch our way through. Gliscor's wing attacks do super effective damage, and the Night Slashes come quick enough that we should be good to go. She correctly, or she knows she survives a foul play, so whether it's a bait or not, she doesn't shield the first one to play it safe. And at this stage, she's hoping that even if this is just a power-up punch, which it is, the wing attack damage will drop enough here that she can punch right through the Scrafty. Which is exactly what happens. So she wins game 1 on the back of Gliscor. Very strong Pokemon and handles fighters very well. Game 2 is Lanturn into Jumpluff, which is not the position you want to be in, because Energy Ball hits very hard. As you'll see here, it's not enough to KO because we've got all that bulk on Lanturn. So she's going to throw the Thunderbolt, which is neutral, but still does a good amount of damage. And then she's going to get to a second Thunderbolt while he tries to generate more energy. At this stage, we've got a very weak Jumpluff. He brings in Quagsire, so she throws the neutral Surf instead of the resistant Thunderbolt. And then brings in Gliscor, who is neutral to Stone Edge and resists the Mud Bomb, which is a really good place for Gliscor to be. So we charge up to the Earthquake and we throw the Night Slashes at this stage of the game. Get the first shield. We know this is a Night Slash because of the first one, so we don't get the second shield, but now Quagsire's in a really weak spot. Because she likes Gliscor, she's not worried. The Mud Bombs do nothing, as you can see. She assumed that the Stone Edge was coming next, so she shields it just so that he's healthy enough, because everything thrown here, she can resist. Acrobatics would be a lot, though. Or that would be neutral. And now the Sand Slash comes in, which just, it can't handle a Toxicroak. Even with the drill run in, Toxicroak's damage is already output so much at this stage of the game that we can just get to the Surf before it can get to a charge move. Get the final shield, and then she's already got a Night Slash loaded, shields down, and Shiny Gliscor gets the KO. Now we've only got Quagsire who can do nothing, and she wins the entire tournament. A 4-round tournament became a 6-round tournament, dropping 1 round to the Double Dragon strategy. Excellent plays from Chandraquil, great tournament, and a delight to have everyone out there at Prime Comics, who are just wonderful comic book store that provide everything, and all tournaments are free. So shout outs to them, and thanks to everyone who came out.
Hey you. Yeah, you. You liked this video, right? We had a good time. Make sure you click that like button and that subscribe. It lets us know what content you're appreciating. So it helps us keep creating the quality you're looking for. Thanks so much.